Okay, it's time for me to do something I've never done before. I've been wanting to do this for a while and putting it off because reviewing a TV series is a whole series is kind of intimidating. But Star Trek Deep Space Nine, my favorite Star Trek series, it was ahead of its time. It was serialized storytelling when this wasn't common. Nowadays, most of your shows follow season-spanning character stories and character arcs. Back then, TV was more episodic. This was not the original series or Next Generation, where, unless it was a two-parter, you could pick up pretty much any episode of any season and not be lost. This show not only had season-spanning character arcs, but it had some plot threads that ran all the way from Episode 1 Emissary to the final episode, What We Leave Behind, rounded by a phenomenal cast led by Avery Brooks, who plays Captain Benjamin Sisko, who's my favorite captain. If Kirk was the soldier and Picard was the diplomat, Sisko, although I would describe him as the warrior, is also a happy blend between the two. He does put diplomacy first, but he's a lot more willing to fight than Picard ever was. He even punches Q in the face in the series. Love the character. I think he's the most relatable captain we've had. We've had a character, Jadzia Dax, who's a Trill, and she has this symbiote in her that gives her the memory of multiple lives, including one that was Sisko's mentor, so there's a dynamic where he calls her old man. She's a great character because she's both young and yet wise beyond her years. It's something not anyone could have played, and Terry Farrell played it perfectly. Colm Meaney returns as Miles O'Brien from Next Generation, who's given a lot more to do in this. He's effectively the chief engineer. And the fact that it's a space station makes the series more land-based. It allows for more reoccurring characters. The cast is also rounded out by Nana Visitor, who plays Kira Nerys, a character I did not like at first, but now she's in my top 5 favorite Star Trek characters of all time, and I even put her above Captain Kirk. She's kind of a stick in the mud at first, but once she warms up to the other characters, we see how fiercely loyal she is to her friends. She has an infectious laugh. She's just a fun character to be around, and has some also, my favorite episode in the series centers around her. She's a former Bajoran resistance fighter from the Cardassian occupation, when her people were basically, the whole occupation was an allegory for the Holocaust. Who has to grow and learn to forgive and move on and be a stronger person? We have, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Renee Auberjonois, who played Odo, a changeling who doesn't know who he is or where he comes from, and when he finds out, he doesn't like it. His people are basically the head of the Dominion, and he has a great character arc. His character's great. We have Dr. Bashir, who a lot of people don't like, but I do, and I feel he got better over time, especially when they started partnering him with O'Brien. Worf even comes into the series later on down the line. We have great side characters like the Ferengi bartender, Quark. And yeah, I know I just dumped the cases out, but the discs aren't in there. His brother Rom, and Rom's son Nog, who, for my money, has the best character arc in the entire series. He starts out as a troublemaking youth. Then he ultimately asks Sisko to endorse his application to Starfleet because the Ferengi are Federation members for him to join. He needs the endorsement of a command level officer, and he goes from that troublemaking youth to someone determined to make a dream come true, to a reliable and responsible member of the crew who gets a great two-part arc in the Seeds of AR-59 and It's Only a Paper Moon, where he loses a leg and has to deal with the post-traumatic stress. Benjamin Sisko's son, Jake Sisko, played by Sarah Lofton's another great character. I love the relationship between them. And this also has, for my money, the best villain in all of Star Trek. Gul Dukat, played by Mark Alamo. He's the rare villain that is capable of as much compassion as ruthlessness. He's a hard villain to nail down, and he is phenomenal. My favorite, and then it would be a crime if I left Elam Garrick out, a side character who's my favorite character in the show. He was a former spy with the Cardassian Obsidian Order, now driven to exile and living on a Bajoran station. And this character's great. He tells because he's a spy, most of the stuff he says is a lie, but there's always a little bit of truth in it. He's cunning. He's obviously very devious and capable of any act, but his friendship and relationship with characters do make him somewhat of a better person, although I still wouldn't turn my back on him. But he's a great character played by Andrew Robinson, who steals every scene he is in. The series has multiple conflicts, whether it be the Dominion War, even a brief war with the Klingons. The Maquis incidents with the Maquis are Federation citizens that revolted due to political reasons, because part of the peace treaty with Cardassia meant their planets get handed over to the Cardassians and they didn't want to leave, which is a multi-layered, faceted plot thread where, yeah, the Maquis are clearly in the wrong, but you can't 100% blame them. DS9 often doesn't end on a good note, like my favorite episode of the series, which leaves with a good man getting killed just because he's a Cardassian. Or an episode that has to do with a plague where Dr. Bashir is able to cure it, but only in the babies of pregnant women. So even though in a few generations the plague will be wiped out, he can't do anything for the people infected. And again, it's that great bittersweet aspect of the show. And again, I said I love the setting of the space station. They also get their own starship after a certain point called the Defiant, which is a phenomenally amazing ship that has a Romulan cloaking device. This ship is a powerhouse for its size and the perfect ship to defend a station. The Dominion War arc is just amazing. I don't want to get into it too much for spoilers, but it's all-out war in the Star Trek universe. And when they deliver on the battles in this, episodes like Fortune Favors the Bold, Sacrifice of Angels, Way of the Warrior, What We Leave Behind, and other episodes scattered in between, these battles are so epic, so massive, thousands of starships in battle, that it delivers as much spectacle as a Hollywood movie. These battles are so well done, they feel like they belong on the big screen. And for the most part, the special effects in this still hold up to this day. When Odo turns into his gelatinous goo natural form, it's a little less effective than the T-1000 liquid metal form, but it's not one of those things where, oh, that looks cheap by today's standards. I watch it and it still looks good. There's some wonkiness with the special effects here or there, but you can tell they put money and effort into this, and the show was always in danger of cancellation. It actually didn't find its true fan base until after the series. After the series ended, and then people, when it came out on DVD and whatnot, and then people got to appreciate it for its brilliance. It's my favorite Star Trek show, and although Next Generation is the crowd favorite, Deep Space Nine has the most hardcore fan base. The people that have Deep Space Nine, like me, as their favorite Star Trek anything, are the most devoted to it. We got great characters. When we brought over characters from the Next Generation, like O'Brien, who was there from episode 1, and Worf, who didn't show up till episode 4, we were gifted already fully developed characters who had more growing to do. So, Deep Space Nine, for me, it's an absolutely perfect show, an out-of-the-park A+. If you're a Star Trek fan and you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, I believe it's on Hulu. You can get the box sets relatively cheap. See it however you have to. Give it a chance. The first 2 seasons are kind of slow, even though my favorite episode is in season 1. And it starts to pick up with season 3, so you might have some trouble getting through those, but once you get to season 4, it is just hit out of the park. And they just keep building on success after success. So, that's my review of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Do you want to see the series? Have you seen the series? What are your thoughts? Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Over and out.